The quickest way to become a millionaire is to be a billionaire and go racing. If I sell a kidney, no wait, both kidneys, then I can do Spec Miata.
Yeah, I've heard it all too. And yes, while racing can be stupidly expensive, there are still ways to get off your couch and onto the track. Today I'm breaking down how you can get into racing with 4 different yearly budgets: $1,000, $5,000, $20,000, and $50,000. I'll share what you can realistically achieve at each level and give you some tips from my own experience. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name's Gabe, and 3 years ago I decided to stop wishing and start doing. I went to racing school, got my racing license, bought a Spec Miata, and now I'm almost done my second year competing in the SSM class of Spec Miata. I also dabble in kart racing and sim racing, and today I want to share what I've learned about how you can get into racing on different budgets. The good news is I'm not an expert race driver. I'm certainly not a trust fund kid. I'm actually a regular guy with a family, a day job, and an incessant itch to race cars, probably like you too. If I can do this, you absolutely can too. Let's start with a $1,000 budget. That's $83 a month. It may not sound like much, but there are 2 fantastic ways you can get involved in racing at this level. First, local arrive and drive karting leagues. These are a no-brainer if you've got less than $100 a month to spend. I'm in my 3rd year of doing the K1 Speed Challenge GP, and last year I finished top 3 in my state and attended the national championship in California. You just need to find a local kart track that hosts leagues, sign up, meet people, and get good. There's virtually 0 barrier to entry on this one, assuming you got a track nearby. If you already have a street car, you can also look into local track events like the SCCA's Track Night in America, which costs a couple $100. Here you can take your daily driver on track and start meeting like-minded people. There's probably plenty of other events like this you could do also. If you know of others, let me know in the comments. So these 2 things, arrive and drive karting and local track days, should be an awesome start. There's really no reason why you can't do this. If you really don't have any karting places or track events nearby, then I recommend booking a trip to a regional race or volunteer at a regional race and go with an open mind and a plan to talk to as many people as you can. Just because you're not racing now doesn't mean you won't be. Early in my journey, long before I raced, I would go to as many races as I could. I even volunteered at the 2013 F1 race in Austin, which ended up being the first big step in my racing journey, even though it was long before I stepped foot on a track, in a car. Because of that experience, I ended up moving to Austin, where I met a group of car guys, then met a race car driver who told me about racing school, all because I volunteered 7 years earlier at the F1 race. The good thing about this budget is you're gonna meet people who have the same passion, and together you'll be able to do other cool things like form an endurance kart race team, or maybe you'll meet someone who, in 3 years when you have a higher budget, is the one to help you find your car. You never know. Don't wait to get started just because you don't have a giant budget today. Get good now so that when you do have more money, you'll be ahead of the guys who wait to get started until they have the cash. Moving up to $5,000 a year. This is where sim racing becomes your sweet spot. With this budget, you can do everything with the 1K budget and also set up a solid sim rig. Maybe not top tier, but plenty good for all the essentials you need to develop your skills. You can use iRacing, Assetto Corsa, or whatever floats your boat. I'd also recommend hiring a sim coach and connecting with people at your local kart track who are into sim racing. Sim racing is a fantastic way to start developing car control and learning how to learn on track. And it's probably the most cost-effective way to become a better driver without burning your tires or your wallet. Again, there's no reason why in today's day and age you shouldn't be sim racing if you're really trying to get good and don't have a car yet. Do your research, find people you trust, and just buy what they have. That's exactly what I did. You could also do more arrive and drive karting, and with $5,000, I'd recommend doing a handful of arrive and drive endurance kart races. I've done a couple of these with a group of guys I met at the local K1 Speed, and they're a blast. Super competitive and tons of seat time. Now, $20,000 a year. Here's where you can start getting into regional racing with organizations like SCCA or NASA or some other race series that you probably know about from the hours you spend on YouTube watching races. You could also go the karting route, where you buy your own race kart, which admittedly I don't know much about. As for car racing, your first step should be to get a competition license, and there are many avenues to do this. I happened to go to an arrive and drive racing school because I didn't have anything, and they literally give you everything: a car, safety equipment. All you need to do is show up. If I were you and I had a race car already, I would get my license by attending the CRE, or Club Racing Experience, put on by the SCCA. This lets you experience an actual race weekend with everyone else, but you're in your own group with other students and instructors on track, so you're not thrown out there with the sharks until you pass the course and get your license. This is a perfect way to get seat time while you work towards your license. With this budget, you can focus on getting track time in a real race car and entering local race series. In my case, my first year was all about getting my license, so that budget went primarily to racing school. Then, my second year, I put it towards a car and safety equipment. Remember, this is a yearly budget, so you don't have to do it all in one year. But with $20,000 dedicated to racing, you can absolutely start getting some serious seat time and practice wheel-to-wheel racing. Finally, let's talk big money, $50,000 a year. Now you can basically do everything I mentioned above, but get really competitive in these regional series. At this level, you can hire a coach for every race and probably get a crew chief or a small team around you. You can also easily afford the logistical setup like buying a truck and trailer as opposed to renting like I've been doing. This budget lets you get more picky with the car you buy, set it up to be competitive, maybe take it to a race shop and have them put in a solid $5 to $10,000 of work to make it a race-winning car. You're still going to be in the amateur regional type series with this budget as opposed to something more professional like IMSA, but if you've got the talent, you can make a real name for yourself. If you don't have a race car yet, I'd recommend renting the first year or two. Try out different cars, find one you like, and don't worry about having to fix it. Join a team where they'll do that for you, and all you have to do is focus on driving and racecraft. Once you get a year or two under your belt and you know what you like, then you can start looking at buying your own car. With this budget, you can also attend more races, possibly outside of your region, to get even more seat time. You shouldn't have a problem being really competitive in regional races given the cash that you'll be able to throw at the car. You can also do something that's called double dipping in the SCCA, which is essentially getting your car set up for multiple classes of racing in the same weekend, so you essentially double your seat time. I recognize this is now getting into the who has that type of money territory, but I figure $50,000 is still something that all of us should see as achievable, and not so unrealistic like the $2 million a year budget it takes to work your way up to F1. Which, hey, if that's you, let us know your secrets. No matter what budget you're working with, my biggest advice is to go where the racing is. Whether it's your local karting track, a regional SCCA event, track night, whatever, go to these events, meet people, and tell them your goals. Every opportunity I've had, from meeting my mentors to finding a car, came because I went to a local racing event, met someone who I shared my goals with, who then introduced me to someone else who was able to help me. You never know who you'll meet or what doors will open when you go to these racing events. You gotta go to where the racing is. I made this video actually hoping to help people who have that burning itch to race cars but think it's just too expensive, so why bother? Get out there and get started no matter your budget. Trust me, it's worth it. Let me know, guys, what did I miss for each budget? Help each other out in the comments. What other ways can you get into racing based on these budgets? Also, share these videos with your boys who think racing is too much money. And I hope to see you guys on the track one day.